Hi all of my lovely friends, and welcome back to another video with Mel. For those that are new here, my name is Mel and I am a medium and an energy healer. I created this YouTube channel so that we could have a safe space to talk all things spirituality. If that's something that you're interested in, remember to subscribe. In today's video, we're going to be talking about 7 signs of how you can know your higher self is trying to get your attention and trying to communicate with you. So let's go. So all of the signs that I'm going to talk about, I have personally experienced. So I'm only going to talk about 7, but there are many, many more. And your higher self could be trying to get your attention in different ways. So it's best for you to meditate and figure out what is your higher self trying to do to get your attention. But here's the 7 ways that I know mine tried to get my attention, and I hope that it can help you guys. The first one is going to be with number synchronicities. And for me, it's a little bit different than what I've found to be online. So when you Google higher self, or let's say you Google 1111 or 111, it'll tell you what it means spiritually. For me, my higher self wants to get my attention not through 1111 or 111, but through my birth date. So it could be different for you guys. Maybe it is 1111, maybe it is 111, but maybe it's something else. So start paying attention to different numbers that constantly keep popping up. For me, like I said, I see my birth date everywhere. So I see the 2 digits for the month and the 2 digits for the year, or sometimes I just see 1 for the month and 2 for the 1 for the month and 2 for the day. I think I said year. You guys know what I mean. So my birth date pops up for me all the time when I know that my higher self is trying to get my attention in some way. So maybe that works for you as well. What I suggest is when you start seeing numbers more frequently, the same ones over and over, start writing it down. Write down what the numbers were. Write down the date that you saw them and what you felt and what you were thinking at that moment. I have found that my higher self comes through to get my attention when I'm thinking certain things, and then I'm going to see the number. I'm going to see my birth date, and then I write down what I was thinking so I know what my higher self was trying to get me to realize. So it's either like, yes, you're on the right track with this thought, or I'll go inside and meditate and be, okay, my higher self was trying to tell me this is a no. It all depends on how you feel. So write down how you feel as well. Okay, so if you guys watch my previous video, What is the Higher Self, where I explain what the higher self actually is, I talk about in that video how to connect to your higher self, and that's through meditation. So sign number 2 that your higher self is trying to get your attention is you want to meditate more. Or when you're actually meditating, let's say you're doing it for 10 or 15 minutes and the timer's up and you're like, I don't want to stop. I want to keep going. That's another sign that your higher self is trying to get your attention. Meditation is how you connect to your higher self, to that aspect of you that is the truest version of you. And your higher self can communicate with you a lot more easily through that meditative state. So it makes a lot of sense to have that be one of the signs that your higher self wants to get in contact with you. They're trying to get you to meditate more, to sit quietly more. Our higher selves and spirit in general can communicate with us a lot more easily when our minds are not racing, when our minds are not thinking, when our minds are not trying to process, when we're just quiet, and especially in a meditative state. So if you find yourself wanting to meditate more, or let's say you've never even meditated and all of a sudden you feel this call to meditate, that is a sign that your higher self wants to get your attention and wants to start making a deeper connection with your physical body here. Sign number 3, that your higher self is trying to get your attention, and I found this for me to be so true, but it took me a while to realize that this was a sign of my higher self. You start to feel more independent. You start to feel more like you can take on the world. So your higher self is your truest form. It is the truest aspect of you. This physical body is not. So the higher self that's within you, the spirit that you are inside, is your true essence. And that true essence inside of you is independent, strong, extremely loving, extremely compassionate, extremely capable. So it makes a lot of sense that when you start moving into these positions in your life where you are just feeling more independent and you're losing that codependency of friendships, of relationships, of lovers, that is a sign that your higher self has started to communicate with you a lot more. The truest version is coming forward to you a lot more and connecting with you a lot more strongly. Now, like I said, it took me a while to figure out that this was a sign, because I was somebody who was codependent, and I was somebody who wasn't necessarily not independent, but I never would have made this YouTube channel. Not on your life would I put myself out in public like this. But I had to sit and meditate again, back to meditation, and my higher self was explaining to me that this was a sign of my higher self getting to me, getting my attention, letting me know that I'm on the right path. Because again, your spirit is not this physical body. It's not your thoughts. It's not your ego. It's a true ultimate love. It's a true ultimate compassion, independent, caring spirit form. And so when you start moving into more independence, when you start moving into more of, I'm okay to be alone, that's definitely a sign that your higher self is getting in contact with you and guiding you. Okay, so number 4 of how your higher self is trying to get in contact with you is you start dreaming a lot more. So for me, before I had my spiritual awakening, I didn't dream hardly at all. If I had a dream once every 3 months, that was great, but I hardly ever had a dream. And once I started spiritually awakening, the dreams started coming. But when I connected to my higher self through meditation, the dreams started coming almost every single night. Now, a lot of them don't make sense, or a lot of them I don't remember, but I know I've had them. But more and more and more, I'm able to remember my dreams. I'm able to remember what happened, the things that were discussed. So dreams do play a huge role in your higher self's communication with you in this body. So what I suggest and what I like to do is I have a journal next to my bed just for my dreams. And I write them down as soon as I wake up. Even if it's the middle of the night, I will write my dreams down, what I remember, what happened. And then later on, you can read those and process them to see what your higher self has been trying to get you to understand. So dreams are a huge part of your higher self trying to get your attention. Now, again, that's because your mind is not working. Your mind is not racing. You're not worried about deadlines at work. You're not worried about paying bills. You're sleeping and your mind is off. So it's the perfect time for your higher self to come through and try to communicate with you. Try to get your attention. Try to get some messages across to you. Now, I firmly believe that we don't have to remember all of our dreams to get the value out of them. Our subconscious holds on to those, and that our subconscious knows what occurred in those dreams. So I personally believe if you don't remember them, there's nothing wrong with that, and you're not losing anything if you don't remember. Our bodies hold on to things. Our bodies remember things and store things. So me personally, I believe that if you don't remember your dream, that's okay. The fact that you know you had one, to me, speaks volumes. From, like I said again before, I never had a dream. But then again, when I think back, maybe I wasn't. I just didn't realize it. Now that I've spiritually awoken, now that I understand higher self, I understand dreams, I understand spirit, now I know that I'm having all these dreams almost every single night. And so again, if you don't remember them, I personally believe that our bodies do. So don't let that be something that worries you. Okay, so way number 5 that your higher self is trying to get a hold of you relates back to the dreams, and that is you have a hard time sleeping. So when I first started to spiritually awaken, I remember having thoughts constantly, and I wasn't able to sleep. And now when I'm going through an ascension or a shift, it does happen. It doesn't happen all the time, but when I'm going through a big change in my life, when I'm going through a shift, when I'm going through an upgrade or an ascension in my spiritual journey for about a week, I will just have constant thoughts in my mind. And you know those times where you're like asleep but you're not, and you know some kind of conversation is happening but you're not fully aware of it? I believe that that is your higher self trying to get your attention. And same thing that I said in the dream section, I believe, and this is just me, that our bodies are still retaining that information that our higher self is giving us, even if we wake up and don't remember. We know there was a conversation. We know there was a lot of talking. We know there was a lot of chatter happening while we were trying to sleep. And I believe that's our higher self trying to get our attention, and our body and our mind is retaining that information. There have been so many times where I've woken up from a dream, and then within that day or two, I'll have deja vu, and I'm like, how the heck did this the day hadn't even happened before, and now here it is exactly like I felt or thought or knew. It was like a deja vu feeling. And that's what leads me to believe that our minds are accepting those dreams and remembering them, even if we physically don't remember. So if you're having trouble sleeping and you have conversations that are going on in your head, you know it's a conversation, but you're not quite aware of it, I believe that's your higher self trying to communicate and talk with you. And what I have found is that when you go into a deep enough meditation, you can find out what those conversations were about. So if you meditate with the distinct purpose and intention of connecting to what your dreams are about, that information will come to you. You just trust and believe what you get, what you receive. Okay, so number 6, in how your higher self is trying to get your attention. I think that this one's quite obvious. Maybe it's not, but you start being a lot more loving and compassionate and forgiving. Now, if you're somebody who's had things happen and you have a hardened heart, your heart starts to open without you having to really do anything, because your higher self is trying to get that spirit through to you, your true essence. And like I said in the beginning, our true soul, our true self is the higher self, which is all spirit and consciousness. And that form is completely 100% loving, compassionate, caring, forgiving, honest, and open. And it makes complete sense that when you start seeing changes in how you relate to other people, you're more loving, you're more open, you're more trusting, you're more caring, you're more forgiving. That's a way for your higher self to kind of break through that shell that you've created, to bring them forward more, to be able to communicate with you more and open yourself up to your true potential, your true self, the true you that you came here to be. So look for patterns or signs of where you normally would have gotten mad at something and you're like, oh, okay, that's interesting, instead of getting mad. Or look for where somebody that hurt you in the past, and now all of a sudden you can look at them differently. You know what? They're not a bad person. They just made a mistake. That is your higher self trying to get you to open up and peel back more and step into alignment with who you truly are. So look for those kinds of synchronicities in your life as well. Okay, and the 7th sign that your higher self is trying to get a hold of you, and again, there are so many signs. These are just the 7 that I have come in contact from my personal self. So I want you to explore more of these signs for yourself, and I want you to journal more. But the 7th sign for me is that you get a lot more gut feelings. You get a lot more of those, ooh, I should turn left. Something wants me to turn left. I normally go straight, but I'm going to turn left. Those kinds of gut feelings. Oh, I normally would go out tonight, but something tells me not to go out. I'm going to stay home. Those are your higher self. Those gut feelings. Your higher self is associated with your, I'm pointing down and you can't see it. I don't know why I'm doing that. With your solar plexus chakra. And so your gut feelings, it makes sense because that's right where your stomach is. So your higher self is trying to give you those nudges to let you know that they are there and they're protecting you. Because like I've said in other videos, your higher self can see a full 360 perspective of everything in your life, everything in your path, everything in your past, present, and future. So those gut feelings are your soul's way of trying to get you in alignment or protect you and keep you going. The gut feelings for me really started happening a lot after my awakening, leading me to this path, leading me to mediumship, leading me to Reiki and tarot and all of the readings that I offer. My gut feeling has been leading me to these places, and that's what your higher self is going to be doing for you when they're trying to get your attention. So go back if you've been journaling, or start now and go back and look at all of the times you got this ping of a gut feeling and you followed followed it? What happened? Where did it lead you? That's your higher self trying to get you down the correct path, trying to align you and get more in line, in tune with you, and have more of a connection with you. I hope you guys all found great value in this video. It was so much fun to make. The higher self is something that I just absolutely love. It's one of my favorite readings that I offer. I love to connect to your higher self. If you guys need more information or you want to connect to your higher self, I have a link below to book that reading. I hope this video had great value for you guys and that you can understand a little bit more about your higher self. If you have any questions, please leave those in the description. I'm so happy to answer any and all of your questions, and that's why I created the channel, so we all have a safe space to come to learn together. As always, my lovely friends, thank you so much for your support and have a great day.